Hi, this is a presentation for the Tezos and Coinlist Hackaton. We are going to present Ungrund Oracle, which is a microservice which will allow us to publish FA 1.2 tokens and other smart contracts with its modules. And we're going to pass through a technical review of it. We're going to deploy it and see how it works. My name is Rafael Lima. I'm from Brasilia, Brazil. I'm a bachelor student on computer science. I have research interests in human and computer interfaces and computer networks and blockchain. So many of these thoughts and the design of the application that we're presenting have some relation to this background. Some of you in on the dev community on Tezos may know me as Crazy Patchwork also. And a forward, a quote from Alan Turing from his thesis, where he presents Oracle machines as a way to deal with problems where we can't problems where the solution is not in a number theoretic scope. So many problems we can't really define objects and name objects as they are inconstant, they are mutable as in reality. So the idea of the Oracle machine is to be an abstraction layer where it will translate interactions, and it will resignify actions from the real world and feed data into the blockchain. So the data that is fed into the blockchain actually it is just a trace of a chain of actions and senses that comes to be instantiated at the blockchain. So this application it is built on Docker. It takes into account DevOps practices, so it can be really easy to deploy it on the cloud, on your local server. We use Tezos library, so it can forge operations, and the Oracle server, it is written in Flask, trying to consider its scalability, and it also has a Swagger documentation. Here we have the repository, and we are going to download it. Here there are some instructions for you to build the application. So let me see, make it. So we are going to clone the repository and I will install it while I explain some other things. So here we have the Docker file. Let me see. Okay, so we built the Docker image and it will download all requirements, and it might take a while depending on your net band. So we wrote it thinking mostly in following the present FA 1.2 standard. We're trying to follow catch up many standards that are being discussed by the Tezos community concerning interactions with mobiles and wallets, and so this application, it has many modules, and in this case we are going to follow the standard for documentation purposes to help the development community mostly, and also FA tokens are really interesting right now because of this DeFi context also, and as the Tezos network is a liquid proof of stake, it's really interesting to write applications and consider these delegation services and in platforms projects and the apps projects. So this infrastructure would try to help the design of it. It is a backend design to feed and to interact with these decentralized applications. So these modules have the design of the smart contract. In this case, we have many entry points that are related to the standard, to the smart contract standard, and there are many possible actually smart contracts and modules designs, as we could design STOs, ICOs, KACs, atomic swaps, crowdfundings, crowdsourcing, also e-votings, marketplaces, etc. So here we can see a sequence diagram of how this version works, and the user interface could be any data flow, like it could be a IoT device or mobile, as I said, etc., or another API or another Oracle, and you should authenticate first the session. In this case, we are going to use private keys, and as it is more of a development context, Ungrund Oracle manages the session and responds the authentication process. So after you have authenticated, you are able to make requests for Ungrund Oracle, and Ungrund Oracle will forge the operation and inject it into the blockchain. And then we get the operation result, and user interfaces can get its response. Of course, you can combine different microservices. You can combine different microservices in these sequence diagrams. Also, you can like forge the operation and send to the user for it to sign. Or so let's see. The installation is complete. So now we are going to run the container. And here we can see that it is running on the 5000 port. Right, so here is the Swagger documentation, and first, as I commented, you should settle the sessions and configure it. Here we are going to use secret key, password, and Cartagenet. So, and then we would go to the FA 1.2 and publish the smart contract. So I'm going to use Postman because I've already draw the process here. So here we have the secret key, the password, and the network. You can get one of these in faucet wallets, like in SmartPy, faucet wallets for Cartagenet. In this case, you can also use it on mainnet, but you would have to create a wallet and activate it sending any amount of Tezos. So here we have to post. It will respond us with the address that we just configured, and here we have the publishing route. It asks us to say what's the amount of tokens that we're going to print. So you have to wait a while. And we just published our FA tokens. Here we have the address. Here we can see how much the operation was and other informations. Here is another route where you can mint tokens. So here we put the contract's address as an argument, and we are going to mint for this address 10,000 tokens. And here we have the response. We are going to check soon the results of the operation on the. So here is the approve route, where you can approve someone to transfer your tokens from you. You can like allow someone to get 20 tokens, and this person will have to withdraw it. You have to transfer it, right? Here is the transfer route. Like we are going to transfer from this address to this address. Let's say 20 tokens. And it's pretty fast. So you can also pause the FA token, can change administrator, etc. You can burn tokens, and you can check balance and etc. For example, let's see if this route is alright. So here you can see the balance of, we have minted first 10,000, 20,000, and then we transferred 20, right? So here we can check it. It is an introduction to some of the operations. They are basically it. You can transfer, you can give allowances, and you can get those informations by API means or by contracts calls. So now we are going to check those operations on Baking Bed just to confirm them. So here we can see the operations that we have done. We've published first a total supply of 1 million tokens, and then we've minted 10,000 tokens to this address, and then we transferred from this address to another address 20 tokens. Here you can see the cost of these operations, and that's basically that's an introduction to FA tokens. You can use it on your applications, on your process. It's interesting to think it with like public accounts or like atomic swaps. So these are some of the next updates. Atomic swaps, FHU support, which is a multi-asset tokens standard. Atomic swaps, we have already developed in-chain atomic swap, and it's really interesting also to think on multi-chain atomic swaps. Next updates, we can see also forge operations for signing from different UX modules and protocols. The idea is to forge the operation depending on the user, so there is a complex, it would be a more complex session management, and for you to properly forge the operation and then send for the user to sign it. You can think of it like in game or in many possible applications, like interacting, as I said, with wallets and with many possible user experiences modules. And also we're thinking of this Redis session management and for it, and we are also thinking of modules fabric, like you upload a smart contract and it will build the microservice automatically and its documentation. So here you can find some links where you can get in touch, and well, thank you very much for all the workshops, and it is always really interesting to debate questions with the Tezos development community and with its wider interactions, contexts. So we are developing also the apps, and we are thinking on using this this infrastructure for like FA tokens to allow people to deploy like crowdfundings, and it would allow you to use the Oracle. You can also use the Oracle as a like one administrator and only receiving requests. It's a bit simpler to deal with sessions, maybe, and to deal with keys, because it is an important security measure. So these are some of the plans, and hopefully this year we are going to see many of these updates happening. And well, that's it, and thank you again, and see you around.